The HOA walked onto my property like they ruled the lake, like kings and queens of the world, right? Until one little slip of paper, one forgotten document, sent their cardboard castle tumbling down. Let me back up. The morning they showed up to inspect my dock, I figured it was just another HOA tantrum. Maybe a snippy email, a stern warning, the usual. But the second that violation notice hit my chest, I felt it. Something shift. Not just in me. It was like the whole lake was waiting to see what I'd do. Yeah, I'm Evan. And what started as a petty squabble over a few planks of cedar became a full-on war. One that ended up exposing who really owns the water out here. I'm not kidding. This story, it gets wild. So if you're the type who cheers for the little guy, or if you've ever wanted to throw a clipboard into a lake, stick around. You might enjoy this as much as I did. So, Montana mornings, let me tell you, they have a way of sneaking up on you. First light doesn't break the darkness. It just sort of hums at the edge of it. That dawn was no different. Thin fog rolling over Malister Lake, drifting like silver ribbons across the water. Surface smooth as glass. Just me, barefoot on the dock I'd built with my own hands, cedar planks, sanded and sealed, still smelling like linseed oil and early summer sawdust. That dock was peace. Work done right. A promise to my old man. Keep the lake in the family. Keep it honest. The air stung, fresh enough to make your lungs feel new again. The world was so quiet, I could hear my coffee mug ticking as it cooled. That dock was my anchor when the rest of life spun too fast. I took a slow sip and watched the mist settle around the far trees. Somewhere out there, a loon gave one of those long, lonely calls, the kind that makes you feel like the only soul alive for miles. And then, just like that, peace was over. Sharp, rapid clack of heels, too fast, too loud for a place like this, cut through the fog and the quiet. A figure came striding down my dock like she'd practiced it in the mirror. Rose-colored blazer. Hair set so perfect it looked fake. HOA president. Let's call her Denise. The kind of name people mutter, not say out loud. She didn't say good morning. Didn't even glance at the lake. Just walked up, slapped a violation notice to my chest hard enough to slosh my coffee, and said, "Structure unauthorized. 48 hours. Or we seize your property." I stared at her, then at the paper, big red official, like they wanted it to bleed fear into my hands. "I built this dock," I said, "filed every permit, passed every inspection." She didn't even blink. "Doesn't matter. The HOA controls all lake structures. This is our shoreline, our view, our rules." She flicked her fingers at my dock like it was garbage. "Non standard. Unapproved. It goes." For a second, I just stood there, notice crinkling in my fist, cold anger creeping up my spine. "Does the HOA own the water?" I asked. Her lips tightened. "We decided we need consistency. This dock is an eyesore." The mist behind her thickened, almost like the lake itself wanted to hide. She left me standing there with 48 hours to comply, heels clicking back across my dock as if she owned the sunrise. When her footsteps finally faded, I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Why was she acting like she owned the lake? I glanced down. The water was still, but it felt different, like it was listening. Mid-morning, sun burning off the fog, I was tightening a bolt when a white HOA SUV rolled up on my mailbox. Out popped Denise, clipboard ready, and a guy I recognized from meetings, Miles, the HOA's go-to contractor. Built like a toolbox, twice as loud. Both marched down to the dock, practiced and perfect. "Provisional compliance inspection," Denise announced, clipped as ever. Miles grinned, all fake friend. "Just checking standards," he said, crouching to tug on boards, muttering nonsense about load-bearing alignment ratios and edge tolerance. 3 inches off, he said. "Dangerous," he said. "Is that even a real thing?" I asked. He just ignored me, nudged the ladder with his boot. "Could be condemned." Denise scribbled like she was signing a declaration of war. Non compliant. Effective immediately. The county approved this, I said. Permits in my house. Stamped. Signed. Doesn't matter, Denise said, voice tight. County permits don't override community standards. Our rules are for the good of all. She gestured at the row of plastic docks, every one of them built by Miles, every one of them exactly the same. Consistency protects property values. There was property values. The holy scripture of the HOA. So what's wrong with my dock exactly? I asked. Miles rapped a knuckle on the rail. For starters, it's wood. I blinked. It's a lake. Docks are wood. He shrugged. We prefer composite. Uniform. Less maintenance. More profit, you mean? His smile twitched. Denise jumped in. Visual harmony. Your dock obstructs it. I repeated the phrase. Visual harmony. The lake shimmered, ancient, older than all these rules combined. This dock's been here for years. Nobody said a word. That was before the standards changed. You got the email. Never saw it. Check your spam. She shot back, cold as sleet. My father used to talk about water rights here, I said. Old agreements. The HOA doesn't have authority over the water. That stopped her. Miles looked up. What agreements? She snapped. Not sure yet, I said, but I was going to find out. Denise's eyes narrowed. Irrelevant. You have 48 hours. They walked away, but I could feel the story shifting. This wasn't about a dock anymore. The next morning, frost on the boards, air sharp enough to slice bread, a stack of HOA flyers scattered across my steps. Unsafe, non-standard dock endangers our community, they screamed. My dock, pictured, crooked, grainy, doctored to look like a haunted house. Homeowner irresponsibility threatens lakefront lifestyle. Hotline number to report me. My number basically. Neighbor Grant shuffled over. Old-timer, sharp, the type who knows every name on both sides of the lake. Saw them posting those? He asked. Denise's crew looked proud of themselves, like kids egging a house. I handed him a flyer. They're escalating fast. Grant grunted. That dock's stronger than any plastic thing on this water. If it's unsafe, I'm a ballet dancer. He leaned closer. Your dad ever tell you about the old agreements? Folks used to talk. This HOA wasn't always in charge. Before I could ask more, my phone buzzed. HOA email. Reckless construction activity. I didn't have to open it to know the lies were spreading. I walked down to the dock. Every knot, every groove in the cedar was familiar, built with my father. This wasn't just a dock. It was history. Then I saw it. A splintered board, fresh break near the ladder. Someone had taken something sharp, jammed it in, not enough to break, just enough to weaken. Sabotage. Anger flared, but I kept it in check. Anger makes you sloppy, and I couldn't afford that. Pulled out the security cameras I never needed before. By noon, they were up. One on the path, one on the dock. Live feed was clear. Anyone snooping would be seen. That afternoon, a group of neighbors strolled by, whispering, watching, their eyes digging holes in my back. The flyers, the emails, the stares, they weren't random. This was coordinated. Pulled a letter from my mailbox. Failure to comply may result in escalating fines. Any attempts to reinforce the structure will be considered defiance. They weren't just after the dock. They wanted control. Storm clouds were gathering. Literal or not, I couldn't tell. That night, my cameras picked up movement, two figures, one shaped exactly like Miles, poking around the dock, snapping pictures. They left without breaking anything. Cold settled in my chest, but not fear. Not anymore. If they wanted a fight, I'd give them one. Not the fight they expected. Because if the HOA didn't control the lake, who did? I grabbed my father's old notes, maps, dog-eared receipts, and headed for the county records office. Montana's county seat is the kind of place where time moves like molasses. Inside, it smelled like old paper and cold air. Dolores, the records clerk, didn't even look up. Your family's land? she asked. This about the HOA? I nodded. She just grinned and got to work, pulling files from cabinets older than me. After a while, she laid out a stack of yellowed papers, maps, notes, engineering blueprints. There, in old ink, underlined twice, Perpetual Water Management, rights assigned to Malister, 1924. That my grandfather. Dolores pointed out clause after clause. The original dam was partly engineered by my family in exchange for the rights. Maintenance, structures, everything. Any future developments, associations, communities, must acquire written authorization from the holder of the water rights, which it turned out was me, signed over in 1999, right after my dad died. I'd been too numb then to understand what he was giving me. HOA never got permission. Legally, Dolores said, they don't have a drop of authority. The weight of those words felt heavier than the paper itself. I took the copies, stamped and sealed, and drove home. By the time I pulled up, the sky was iron gray, storm moving in. More flyers on the porch, laminated this time, because drama loves weatherproofing. I ignored them and went to the dock, documents safe in a waterproof envelope. A small crowd of neighbors watched from the edge of my yard, coffee mugs clutched like shields. HOA says your dock failed a safety review, one said. Said you refused to fix it, endangering the community. Did they mention who damaged it? No answer. Just shifting feet, nervous eyes. They weren't loyal to the HOA, just afraid. Then Denise and Miles showed up. Emergency meeting, Denise barked. You're expected to attend. Your unauthorized structure is a hazard. On what grounds? I asked. Community welfare, she said. Unanimous board concern. Multiple resident complaints. The neighbors behind her couldn't even look me in the eye. You mean the complaints you stirred up? I asked. Her jaw tightened. Don't make this more complicated. You'll have your chance to explain yourself tonight. You don't have the authority to foreclose over a dock, I said. We have broader authority than you think, she snapped. Power play, plain as day. That's when I realized this wasn't about a dock to them, either. It was about control. I took a breath, slow. Denise, you're pushing something you don't understand. You're overstepping. She laughed. Legal problems? Please. But I could see the flicker of doubt. We manage the waterfront. We set the standards. Under whose authority? I asked. Ours, right? They left, neighbors trailing after, the storm thickening overhead. I could have pulled out the papers right then, ended it. But no, let them make every accusation. Let them believe they had the upper hand. When the truth dropped, it would leave a crater. That evening, before the meeting, I called Clara, a lawyer friend. She looked over the documents, nodding more and more as she read. Evan, this isn't just property rights. This is jurisdiction. The HOA can't regulate the lake, the docks, even the boat traffic without your say-so. Her advice, let them put every false claim on record. The more they talk, the deeper they dig. The meeting was packed. Denise at the front, Miles off to the side, projector screen blaring. Emergency session. Dock safety and community enforcement. Denise started with her best speech, serious threat to safety and property values. Accused me of refusing all warnings, endangering everyone. A photo of my dock, edited to look like it was falling apart. When it was my turn, I stood at the podium, folder in hand. My dock was built legally, I said. Inspected. Approved. The only people calling it dangerous are the ones who want to rebuild it, for a fee. I held up the documents. But this isn't about safety. This is about authority. I placed the original water rights agreement on the podium. This predates the HOA. It predates most of your houses. It says, clearly, only the holder of these rights can authorize anything done to this water. And that's me. Denise tried to argue, outdated, irrelevant, whatever. But then Sheriff West stepped forward, hat in hand. I've seen the documents, he said. They're legitimate. HOA can't override county water rights. Not even close. Clara stood up, briefcase in hand. Any enforcement actions by the HOA on this lake are invalid. Any further attempts could result in liability. Denise's mask slipped. "You're ruining this community," she snapped. "One man can't hold us hostage with century-old documents." Wes shook his head. "We're just making sure things are done legally." The board members backed down. One said, "We should pause enforcement." But Denise, she was shaking with anger. "This isn't over," she spat and stormed out. After the meeting, the world felt different. Not calm, but open. Wes said, "You handle that well. They'll try something new, but now it's all in the open." Next morning, thin mist on the water. My dock, still standing, still mine. But when I checked the water line, I saw something wrong. The lake was lower. Only a few inches, but enough to be a message. My phone pinged. Security cam motion. 3 figures at the inlet gate, one clearly miles. Lowering the lake, trying to create a hazard. I grabbed my jacket, drove to the inlet. Sure enough, they were there, caught red-handed. I called Wes. He showed up fast, took statements, reviewed footage. "They're in trouble," he said. "Tampering with a county flood system is serious." Miles and his crew got cited, and by the end of the day, county officials were digging through years of HOA fees and regulations. Fraud. A no serais finis. It was all coming apart. By the end of the week, Denise was out. Board members resigned. The county voided all HOA water rules, refunded the bogus fees. Neighbors who'd been scared now came by to thank me, or apologize. Some just nodded, finally seeing what the fight was really about. That weekend, I rebuilt the dock. Grant came by, offered a hand and a mug of something hot. "Your granddad would have liked this," he said. And for the first time, the lake felt peaceful again, not silent, but steady. You know, there's a lesson buried in here, something my father tried to teach me, and maybe I finally understood. Power isn't about who yells the loudest or who waves the biggest rulebook. It's about knowing what's right and holding steady when everyone around you loses their heads. Sometimes justice takes its sweet time, but when it shows up, it's undeniable. If you've ever stared down a bully, HOA or otherwise, drop a justice down below so I know I'm not the only one still fighting for what's fair. And tell me, where do you draw the line between order and control? When is a rule meant to protect? And when does it just prop up somebody's throne? If you've got a story about fighting back, about karma catching up, don't keep it to yourself. Let's hear it. And hey, if you want more stories like this, you know where to find me. I'll be right here, watching the lake, keeping the peace. Just like my father did.